Okay, we have Jeff Gordon now that drives us, has joined us, and he drives the number 24 Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Jeff comes in here fifth in points, had a nice comeback last week at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And Jeff, talk about third race coming in now in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and you got back in the hunt last week in New Hampshire, and talk about this weekend here at Dover.
Yeah, we had the race, that we needed to have. Obviously, we were in a position to get a little bit more than what we did, but still to get that top five was big for us. And I hope that we can keep that momentum going. Chicago was definitely not a good race for us, but to have that good run in New Hampshire, allows us to focus on what we need to do here. And I feel really good. So far the weekend is going well, and it's a track that I love. We're excited to have Chase Credit Card Services on our Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet this weekend, and the support that they're giving us through the purchases of those that get the AARP card. So. We're looking forward to the weekend and week 3, and every weekend's a nail biter. You never know what's going to come out of it.
That's exactly right. And let's take questions now for Jeff. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start there with Mike in the white shirt there, and then we'll go to Brian.
Mike Mullern.net. We've had 2 weeks of the chase, and actually I guess the chase sort of started at Michigan in August, watching people's expressions. What have you seen in the competition, and what game plans? It looks to me like Carl's trying to make sure he doesn't make mistakes. Jimmy's trying to make a point. You're trying to make a point. When you look at your competition, how do you size up their game plans for the chase?
I don't know what the competition's doing. I just know what we're doing. We're just trying to get the best finish that we can every single weekend. At this point, it doesn't really matter what the competition's doing, because we're just trying to lead the most laps, and win the race. And when we, can't do that, we get the best finish that we can. The thing that we are trying not to do is do what we did at Chicago, and obviously fuel mileage is something that we've had to focus a little bit more on. So, we're making sure that we don't make some big mistakes in that area, which we came very close to that happening last week, but luckily we recovered. But as far as the competition is concerned, to me, when you get caught up in what the competition is doing, that's when you're just chasing. You're not really leading the chase. And I feel like with the momentum that we had coming into the chase and the way our team's been performing lately, it's really just all about what we're capable of doing.
Go ahead, Brian, and then we'll go to Claire.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. Jeff, 17th there in the spring, and then you were pretty good at Bristol with that runner-up finish. Why were you so off in the spring, and what did you learn that put you in such good position? Why Bristol translates well to Dover?
Yeah, well, we weren't great here, but we were a lot better than the results showed. That last stop, it was some guys stayed out, some guys took 2 tires, and I was that car that took 2 tires that was on the inside of, I think, the third lane, and on the restart, my car wasn't very good on the restarts. That was the one thing we were lacking, and then the outside lane was the place to be here on the restarts, and so we got back to then the guys that had 4 tires, and it was just a downhill battle from there. So we had a bad result, but I feel like have really made big gains in our race cars since we were here last. We've got to qualify. I think qualifying may have got rained out last time when we were here, and we were pretty far back in the points at that time too. So, we're hoping by our practice speed today, if it does rain tomorrow, we're good. And I feel like because of our practice speed today, we got a good car for qualifying. So either way, we're covered. Track position's important, but we were not. I think as good of a team, nor did we have as good a race car as the last time we were here. So we've learned a lot since then to improve our performance here at Dover. This is a place that we used to dominate, and I'd love to get back to that. and it's just trying to find that right balance, which can be tricky here on this fast 1 mile racetrack.
Bristol translating to Dover. How does that
I hope
work?
it translates. We're certainly trying to make it translate. I feel like we're better this weekend because of some things that we did at Bristol that we learned there. But it's a different racetrack than Bristol. I mean, even though it's concrete and looks similar, that you put that 1 mile in length racetrack versus a half mile, it changes things a lot. The loads that you experience here and the balance that you have to have here, plus the way the rubber gets laid down the racetrack here changes things a lot. But I do feel like we're a lot closer this time than we were the last time we were here.
Go ahead, Claire.
Larry Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Jeff, where would you compare yourself now to other championship teams that you have been on when you've won championships, and where you think you're at right now? And then also, are we seeing uncharacteristic stuff from the 48 team? We keep talking about that. You probably know that team as well as anyone.
Well, as far as the 48, it doesn't matter. They've gotten off to slow starts in the chase before, and they're just they do miraculous things. So you can't ever count them out, and I wouldn't count them out this year either. And this is to me, this is a big weekend for them. This is a track that he really gets around well. That team does well here, and so they can get themselves right back in it in a hurry. I've never won a chase, in the Sprint Cup Championship, so it's hard for me to compare. All I can compare to is 04, 07, the years that we've had since the chase and the Sprint Cup was put together, and we had strong teams and cars that year, and we just didn't quite get it done, at the end of the final races. But it's just so much different when you're talking about 10 races. It's just like, look at what Tony's done. Tony came in with very little momentum, and everybody pretty much counting him out, and he wins the first two. So, it doesn't matter what you do throughout the season. It only matters what you do in these 10, as long as you're in it. And last week was important for us. We had a great run, a great finish. Chicago was a little bit of a setback and alarming, to us. But at the same time, runs like that this year have been what have made us stronger and better. So I'm kind of happy that happened in the first race because I think it got our attention and made us make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's and pay a little bit more attention to some of the smaller details. But this team is strong, and it's just like this week. We did our debrief from Loudon and the fuel issues and all that, and to me, nobody knows how to attack those problems better than this team does, and so we recovered. We're coming in here, and we're excited and feel confident, and certainly looking forward to seeing what we can do this weekend. This is also a big weekend for us because I think this is a track that is on our radar of not so good tracks. If we can come out of here with a good finish, I think it speaks volumes about our contention chances.